Are you socially aware? This right here is probably one of the most important leadership skill sets that I think really for the emerging generation is this concept of socially aware. Now, again, I'm going to talk about empathy later. That's why I won't go much into it now. But when I deal with social awareness has a variety of different dynamics. The first thing is this: social awareness is an ability not only to read people, but to read a room and to read an organization and know how to respond in a way that produces positive results. So a socially aware person understands how to read people, understands how to read the room or the emotional climate of the room, and understands how to read, or I could say the word organizational excellence, and knows how to respond and do things that lead to a positive result. This is a part of what I like to say is social awareness. Another aspect of social awareness is being aware of how people perceive you as a leader. So when I deal with social awareness, not only is it being able to read people and respond the right way, but it's being aware of how others perceive you based on your words, based on your actions, or based on your behavior. And the reason why this is so important when it comes to inclusive leadership is because if we're going to lead diverse groups of people with an inclusive lens of leadership, not only is it going to be important that we're able to understand the emotions that are different in different types of people in different circumstances, but we're going to have to understand how to respond in a way that ultimately leads to a positive outcome. And this varies from situation and person to person. But in addition to that, I got to be aware as a leader how my words, how my actions, how my behavior, even sometimes my dress, how that impacts other people. This is the concept of social awareness. In essence, as an inclusive leader, I got to be aware of the words that I use. So if I'm in a conversation, if I'm giving a presentation, if I'm talking about a specific issue, I got to be really cognizant of the words. I got to be cognizant of what type of behaviors that I do. What impact are my behaviors? What impact do my nonverbals have? I got to understand different communication styles. For some, I yell, and then for some, I calm down. Got to understand that dynamic. I got to be able to understand cultural differences, different mannerisms, different etiquettes, and how that impacts people. When it comes to important DEI issues or things that are happening in my community, I got to understand how to respond in a way that is going to be meaningful and is going to let people know that I hear them, I want the best for them, and I want a win-win situation. This is all a part of social awareness. And this does not happen overnight, but it's so impactful. I am completely convinced that leaders that can perfect this skill set will go very far within the organizations. When I learn how others perceive me and how to do things in a way that leads to a positive result, when I learn how to read people and respond the right way, when I understand how to read politics and the organization and when the structure and know how to respond and do things in a way that leads to a positive impact, this here is a game changer. And it's one of the reasons I love this quote. Watch what it says. It says, leaders drive values. Values drive behavior. Behavior drives culture. And culture drives performance. But what's so fascinating is the behavior impacts the culture, and the culture infects the productivity. And ultimately, the behavior and the culture is set by leaders. So as a leader, the behavior, the words, the things that I do impact culture, and ultimately it impacts performance. I had a class in my doctoral program on ethical leadership. And one of the intriguing things that I learned about ethical leadership that they talked about is they said an ethical organization starts at the top. They said if the top is corrupt, it will impact everyone else in the organization. And it will impact everyone else in the organization so much that you can be an ethical person, but will be pushed out because the culture is unethical. And that was really powerful to me because I was like, so many times there are people that they go in to I want to make a change. I want to make a difference. But because the top has already created a toxic culture, it ultimately ends up pushing them out instead of them creating the change they wish to see. So again, it deals with leadership. But there's another quote that I think is powerful as well. It says, your behavior influences others through a ripple effect. A ripple effect works because everyone influences everyone. Powerful people are powerful influencers. Again, being aware of how I'm influencing, being aware of how I'm inspiring, being aware of how I'm motivating. Again, I can't motivate, I can't inspire, I can't engage if I don't understand how my actions are affecting other people. And this is this concept of what I call emotional intelligence. Now, what's so fascinating about this as it relates to inclusive leadership is there was actually a study that I read about for HR professionals. And in this study was a fascinating thing. They said 60% of people are impacted by this concept of microaggressions. Now, again, we're going to show you a video very soon that's going to give more insight about what a microaggression is. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. But microaggressions are things that people say and do that hurt and impact people without the person even knowing that they're doing it. So I'm going to say it again. It would be like you're having a conversation with someone and you say something and that person is so upset with you, but you don't even know they're upset with you because you don't even realize what you just did. And a lot of times people function in microaggressions and say and do things that offend people. Sometimes they do it on purpose, but in other times people do it because they're ignorant of what they're saying. They're not socially aware. And it's one of the reasons why this is so important, not only when it comes to inclusive leadership or leading diverse groups of people, but also when it comes to emotional intelligence, being aware of how you're impacting people, not just people, but emotionally as well. And so how do we build social awareness? Well, there's a variety of things that we can have a conversation about. I mean, this could be a topic in itself for a whole time, but we got to develop people and organizational intelligence. We got to learn about people, learn about different cultures, learn about people from different walks of life, learn about different organizational structures, learn about the politics, what I like to say, the unwritten rules of organizations. Number two, we got to study what I call nonverbal communication. We got to study not just communication, but the nonverbals, the impact that nonverbal has on other people. Number three, we got to be adaptable and conscious. In essence, there may be some time we have to change our language. We have to change our behavior, change the way in which we communicate to be effective. We got to be solution focused. Socially aware leaders or emotional intelligent leaders, inclusive leaders, we got to be solution focused. There's going to be a lot of different problems, a lot of different challenges. We got to really be focused on discovering the solution. And the last thing is we got to be aware of how do others perceive you? How do others perceive you as a leader? A lot of times, based on a person's perception of you, can determine whether or not they trust you or not. And so understanding how people receive you is so important and so vitally is something that we can all put to our toolbox to help us become more effective as a leader.